Someone's knocking at the door. The tide has turned. These op-ed pieces are all combined in one way or another. And it was fairly powerful writing them. You will get the gist between now and the end of the show. It's about us, all of us. As above, so below. As within, so without. The great mirror effect that can work both ways. But people in general only see it as one way. But the mirror reflects back, and the eyes see what the brain tells them. But our eyes are limited. Just a few percentage points of the spectrum. Our brains have had varying doses of MK Ultra. For most people on a non-physical level, but some have endured the tortuous physical level. Both render the individual a controlled or controllable asset. Designed to follow, must obey, all very they live. As an increasing public use of technology ensnares more into the subtle MK Ultra program. All people have endured MK Ultra in some form or other. To deny it is ignoring the problem. An all too common human trait. You watch TV, you play video games, partake in various social media. And like Tucker Carlson mentioned, one of the most damaging is Twitter. There is a reason they only allow you to post a certain number of characters. It's streamlining the narrative, so you operate in sound bites and headlines only, and then don't delve into the deeper aspects of the narrative. Reduction program. Via the television, controlling via the advertisement program, where adverts are strategically placed every 8 minutes or so, because they've managed to reduce the average American attention span down to 8 minutes now through TV programming. Remember, in the past, the adverts were every half an hour or 20 minutes. They reduced the attention span to 8 minutes. That's why the adverts are every 8 to 10 minutes or even less. Video games are a massive problem. It is seeded with dark, malignant frequency music, dark subliminals that pulse into your brain, which is entrainment tactics, and frequencies that disrupt the brain thinking pattern. And it also encourages competitive streaks and win at all costs, which rolls into another program. They're riddled with violence and gory scenes where it's okay to run over people and shoot cops. And the military games always include the latest boogeymen. Have you noticed? Muslims, Iran, Russia, China, Cuba and North Korea. But these games are also connected to their AI network. And not only do they assess the strategies by each player, but more damaging is they are profiling each player registered on the network. Yet again, an example of how we do their job for them. So what the program does is they will set tests within the game. Which player will shoot at all costs and how far individuals will go to win the game. Will they cheat? Cheating is an advantage to those running the data profiling. Because if the person is willing to cheat in the game, they are willing to do other things more nefarious to attain their goals. Will the player in the game take out a key element with a single strike? Or will the player destroy the whole village to take out the one person? The person who does the latter is of interest to rogue elements in the military, the mercenaries and the security groups, and subsequent targeting of that individual to be pushed into those now live roles. This is how data profiling works. It's the same on social media. Do you think those life questions that pop up on Facebook are for entertainment? No. Those that fill in those questionnaires like, are you an empath? How spiritual are you? What is your IQ, etc.? And people all fill them in. And it all goes into the database, whereby you are profiled into labels and categories. Do you like this food or that item? Would you like to go on vacation? Would you like to buy this product or another product? It's all about setting you up for personal advertising, marketing. Now, many will say, well, I never thought of it that way. How could we know they were doing that? Well, the answer becomes a question, is why didn't you? Because you didn't look behind the mirror or the hidden hand. You accepted their image presented when all of their images are false or misrepresentations. You all know that by now. And the key to understanding it is, if you think on it, break it all down, observe it, assess where they can weaponize it against us, because everything else has been used as a weapon against us, harmed us, or tricked us. Then you can see where the program and the pattern is. Remember, they are the image, and also they are the hidden hand. They created the problem and the solution. They create the boogeyman and the saviour. It's like hospitals. They tell us they're there to make us better, and then they give us poisons to consume. They give people cigarettes to smoke, and it's all cool, remember? And then they tell you it's not good for you or your health. So we've already established they're not interested in our health. Otherwise, they would stop blocking genuine cures. They would stop putting shit in our food, water or air. And clowns would stop blocking cancer cure hospitals and the retarded people supporting it. Our life is consumed by supporting and upholding the lie. We argue over politics and not policies. We argue over politicians and not their voting records or what have they achieved for the people. If you select people based on image and personality, you get in return faceless drones with no thought process and certainly no solutions on anything relative. So how do I correct it? You correct it by fixing you. You've all took that responsibility. Life politics and finances change. Those with a mastery of the self will see through all of their illusions. So how does that work, and how can it be fixed? When you look in the mirror, you see one image, which is you. You are conditioned to see just you. Listen closely. You miss the shadows of the self, the ones not integrated into you, as you couldn't face that shadow aspect of you. But as an observer of you looking at you, you will see the shadows. If you go to the other side of the mirror, you will see you looking at you and back. Now you've seen through the illusion. Many of people will say now, well, you can't look through the back of the mirror. And I get that. Because your mind is entrained to think that way. The brain is a software and also programmable. You are the programmer once you are the master of you. With your imagination, you rewrite the program. But first, you must stop the limitation program. I can't do this, you can't do that. Says who? Teachers? Science? Portal people? Psychologists? Since when and where they the bastions of delivering truth, knowledge, or empowerment? It's all an illusion. Life is the mirror. When you add more mirrors, is there not more versions of you? But I thought there was just one. What is real? What is the illusion? Is it not the case everything is inverted in life, exactly the same as the mirror? Life today is about things being external when all is internal. In the external focus of most people is the I and not the we. This leads to selfish agendas. Life is all about me and others don't matter. The endless world of comparison and competition that has so damaged us all. So on the external, we are attempting to pull back the I and focus on the we, which is not an easy task, as many of you have found out. It's not an easy program to break. But then we have the inversion on the internal aspects. As within, so without. Internally, we are programmed to be the we, not the I, which is the reverse of the external traits. So what is the we he's talking about, many will ask. The we is in the brain. The two dueling hemispheres. One says, I want to do this. The other says, come on, you're too old, too weak, you can't learn this, you can't do that. How many of you have you said, I would love to do this, and then the excuse crops up in the head of why you can't? I would love to go to Paradise Beach, but the kids, the school, the time off work, the money, and the same applies to the projects many of you are working on. I can't take part in this project because blah, blah, blah. That's the limitation program installed into your brain. And shutting it off is the key. So internally, many face the problem of the dueling hemispheres, which is the we. Combining them, it becomes the I. So you shut off the hemisphere that has the limitation program. When you hear that voice in your head, shut it up. You control it. So the I, internally, when mastered, makes the we externally far easier. Once you have mastered the hemispheres, the next stage of the trinity within the head is to merge it with the third eye, the single unseen eye that sees more than the visual two eyes. Once that stage is complete, the next stage, providing the throat chakra is not blocked, is the cord to the heart. That is where your magic kicks in. Operating from there opens many doors, physical and non-physical. More senses than our basic limiting 5 senses, and the real definition of the warrior with the sword manifests. The 2 hemispheres of the brain are the 2 side handles of the sword. The third eye is the top of the handle. The cord to the heart is the blade. The blade, like the mirror, is double-edged. Use it wisely and it will serve you. Use it unwisely and it will cut you. That requires responsibility. Now, many don't like the responsibility, and so why too few achieve their own mastery. People all too content to let others do things for them. That means if things go wrong, they have someone else to blame. And that's why so many rely on the government, because governments fail because the people didn't take responsibility. Not because of politicians, because you are responsible having selected them to make them accountable. And ultimately, people are responsible for the plight of the country and the government. We've just forgotten. And have neglected it to allow someone else to take the blame. And people have become so frightened of failure that it prevents them becoming who they should be or what they want to do. Failure is an opportunity to see where you went wrong. Failure brings lessons, the same as mistakes. And as the song always said, remember, a winner is only a loser who got back up and gave it one more try. So the key to the mastery of the self is, internally, the we must become the I. Externally, the I must become the we. But external only truly becomes possible with the internal mastered. Otherwise, it's another illusion of what you believe you are doing, not what you are doing. I hope people grasp that. What has been garnered over recent months is how fickle some people can be. Saw some further elements this week. And you can help people for weeks, months, and in some cases years, only for them to shit on you from a great height. Does it hurt? Yeah. But you learn to manage it better each successive time it happens. And some recent comments and their excuses for leaving THI is I don't like his stance on 5G, chemtrails, Bitcoin, blue chickens. And the classic this week, his comments on super soldiers that they are all killers, unquote. Stated by one woman as the reason for leaving THI and joining the hate group. Newsflash, lady, because you are ignorant of facts or too cowardly to face it. That information came from me speaking to 3 super soldiers in person. All of them said they work for or work currently or worked for the cabal as assassins. All of them. You don't think the clowns created super soldiers in black budget off-ledger programs for the greater good of the people, do you? Seriously. These people are as shallow as a dry riverbed in Death Valley. With that in mind, it leads to our final piece tonight, which will be in 3 parts. This is a global message and not necessarily directed at our group, but some aspects still apply to us all, me included.